The reason education sucks is the same reason that it will never, ever be fixed. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. Politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pocket. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. A population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They want obedient workers because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Hey, this your boy Veli. Welcome back to the channel. And I told you guys, I told you, Democrats' plan the whole time was to get all these people in here because you have so many people leaving these Democrat-ran cities and states. I said this in multiple videos, man. Go back to the content. I said it multiple times. This was the plan all along. Look at California. California has millions of people getting the fuck out of it. Look at New York. Millions of people, everybody moving down, North Carolina and all that stuff. And by the way, don't bring all that duplex shit down south. We don't live on top of each other like that. We need space. So make sure y'all keep all that shit in New York. Back to the video though. Oh, yeah, man. They're trying to replace all these people in these Democrat-held cities and states. And they're trying to use that to determine districts for the House of Representatives. I've been saying this in videos. Like, these people know what they're doing, and they're breaking the law by doing it. So whenever we get law and order back, man, people going to prison. Believe it. But you ain't got to take my word for it, man. Let's get into the video.
Is that we're trying to get to the point where we understand legality and who is going to be a citizen. I would hope that the gentleman from California would not think that we were against his family voting if they were citizens, to be counted if they were citizens, but it would be less.
So what he's getting at, what the video didn't start with, you know, typical California Democrat, they're one of the reasons that America is doing so bad right now anyway, because of the seats California has and the influence that they have in our government. But typical Democrat using racism as a way to say, oh, you know, you're only keeping these people from not voting because they're black and brown people, but they're fucking illegals. They're not even American citizens. And anybody that knows that took basic civics growing up in America, you can't vote unless you're a citizen. But that's what they're trying to do with these people. They're trying to make these people voters. They're trying to steal another election. I don't care about it. I'm not putting no legend on that shit or nothing. Go look up what happened in Georgia and a lot of these places, man. Determine that for yourself. That's how my personal opinion about it. That's how I feel about it. I don't feel like Democrats won the last election, but that's my opinion. Yeah. They just always like to use racism as a ploy to, oh, you stopping people from doing this because of the color of their skin. No, they're not citizens. They shouldn't be voting in our fucking elections, but I told you guys, that was the plan.
I would be less than candor if I didn't say, I believe that what's happening today comes a lot from taking advantage of this politically to bring 10 or 20 million people into this country, to move them to areas that American citizens have moved away from because their own.
Now, just real quick, I knew it was upward of 10 million. I knew it was kind of like 12 or 13 million at this point that Joe Biden brought in, but 20 million, that's insane, guys. He's already brought in more than the population of multiple states.
Way in which they legislate and tax and diminish those boundaries in political divisions such as New York and other places, and to crowd 20 million people into these areas just for the purpose of politics as opposed to the rule of law is, I think, really what this point's about. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to yield the remaining time I have to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Donalds.
I want to thank my colleague from Texas. I think that this debate is moving into an area typically where congressional debate goes into. Let's be very clear about what the bill does. For the 5th time, the count of people in the country would still occur, whether you're on a green card status or whatever the status are, or either if you have no status. But for the purposes of apportioning congressional districts, non-citizens would not apply to forming congressional districts.
Facts.
Not the count, not getting the numbers in various jurisdictions that deal with grant programs, funding programs, et cetera, that come from the federal government or that.
And shout out to Byron Donald, man. Great guy. Like to see him as president one day because he got everything that I feel like he needs to be it. But he makes a great point because the Democrats are trying to disguise all these people into like being not counted on nothing. And that's the whole argument. Oh, well, we're not counting these people. No, like Byron Donald said, we can count them as far as people when it comes to the funding and grants and just acknowledging them being there. Because we don't want to have people out here and we just don't know that they're here. So, yeah, they can get counted for that. But as far as congressional districts, now that they don't want to separate the two. Democrats don't want to separate the two. Byron Donalds is strictly setting down these are separate things.
Help states plan accordingly for state budgets or localities planning for local budgets. That would not change. In the United States, we have no ability to force people to fill out the census. Like I said earlier, we don't have that ability. People fill it out because they choose to. Now, of course, we do ads during the Super Bowl and sporting events every single 10 years because we want people to fill out the census, but there are citizens who don't fill it out. You should not, it is unwise to count people for the purposes of setting representative districts in the House of Representatives who do not have the capability to vote because they are not citizens of the country. That doesn't mean you don't count them for all the various things. To a secondary point, it is actually the Republican Party that has always wanted to have legal immigration. What we don't want, and I find it interesting, I have to make this comment constantly, but I will, and that's fine. What we do not want is what the President of the United States has foisted on the American people during his presidency. Right now, Joe Biden. This is what we don't want because it is damaging, frankly, inner city communities more than any other portion of the country. And based upon the current makeup of Congress, most inner cities are not represented by Republicans. They are represented by Democrats. And that is where the vast majority of the issues set around funding not being able to now meet the need because of massive illegal immigration by ignorance of the law of the President of the United States.
And Democrat leaders like what's going on in Chicago with Brandon Johnson. And they on his ass. I'm going to make a video about that too. They on his head, man. People were tired of that because they didn't like for Joe Biden to come out and tell motherfuckers, yo, you're not black if you don't vote for me. Knowing that his whole plan was to devastate and destroy those very same communities he told them people to is fucking disgusting. Worst shit I ever seen. People talking about, oh, Joe Biden, like Mark Hamill, Joe Biden, best president we ever had. Bruh, Joe Biden, in my opinion, is the worst American we ever had. I don't even give a shit about presidency. He's the worst American we've ever had.
Last thing I will say. With respect to what President Lincoln might have wanted, with respect to allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections, it's okay to disagree with a former Republican president. I disagree with that with President Lincoln.
Right.
I do not think that is wise. I think that the only people who should be able to make political decisions within the framework of a representative government are the citizens of that government, of that nation.
Well,
I don't vote in Mexico if I was going to be in Mexico. I don't vote in Spain if I was going to be in Spain. And they wouldn't want me to vote there because I'm not a citizen of those countries. That is not xenophobia. That's common sense.
Facts.
And what has happened, oh no, I yielded before, I'm not yielding now, but thank you. What has happened to the debate around immigration, border security, around now apportionment and the census, is that if you have a legitimate point about how the business of the United States should run that is different from the current Democrat Party's vote, you are now xenophobic and don't care about immigrants. That is a lie. Let me also say, I would add that my current colleagues on the other side of the aisle, they have forgotten what their party actually used to stand for when it came to illegal immigration and immigration writ large. Because they actually did believe in secure borders and only a legal process. and not massive amounts of illegal immigration. And that has changed fundamentally from where the Democratic Party was even 2 decades ago.
Will the gentleman yield?
With that, well, my time's up. I can't yield anymore. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Facts, man. Shout out to Byron Donalds. Because somebody needs to expose the truth and the facts of the shit. And not too many people are doing that. Because you got a lot of these Republicans that are uniparty shields. They're just as bad as Democrats, if not worse. Because they falsely represent the Republican Party. And that's why you got so many people shit talking Republicans. Oh, that's why a lot of these Democrats are Republicans. Because you got a lot of those shithead in-betweeners. Like, pick a side, man. But like I said, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm an American first conservative. I like small government. I don't like my fucking business on my pockets. They should be worrying about the shit we don't have to worry about, like foreign affairs and keeping the country safe. They shouldn't be worrying about what the fuck I'm making and what I'm doing over here with my life. That's what conservatism means. Small government. Fend for yourself. But man, y'all seen it like I seen it. It was the plan all along, guys. And he made a great point at the end too, because Obama deported over 3 million people because he seen it was a problem here in America. Obama, who was the president, Joe Biden was his vice. So Obama was known as the porter in chief. Go look it up. Y'all seen it like I seen it, man. I'm out.